coming to tell you I've only just found it. I wanted to let you know.
Was this really just a simple mistake? Or was it something much deeper and way more sinister? Think about it for a second. Imagine you're a parent. You're watching your little boy gasp for air. You're terrified. And then you realize the very place where he should be the safest, his own bedroom, is actually what's poisoning him. Today, we're not just talking about another hospital drama on the cobbles. We're looking at a story of pure negligence, a massive housing crisis, and a mother whose past trauma is coming back to hit her right in the heart. This is about Abby Webster and young Alfie, and the discovery she makes is absolutely staggering. Why did this happen? Was it just a businessman being lazy? Or is Idris Nasir much more dangerous than he looks? We have to break down every single layer of this nightmare. It all starts in a place of pure, unadulterated panic. Abby is living every parent's worst nightmare. Her son, Alfie, is struggling to breathe, and his little body is fighting for every single ounce of oxygen. Now, if we look at this closely, this isn't just a random medical emergency. It's a total failure of the system. Abby has been shouting into the void for weeks about the damp in her flat. She's been leaving message after message for a landlord who treated her health like it was some kind of background noise. In my opinion, this shows a disgusting power imbalance. We see it all the time in real life. A tenant's life is put on the line just because a landlord finds it inconvenient to pick up the phone. Abby rushes Alfie to A&E, and the mental weight on her must be crushing. You have to remember who Abby is. She's already buried a son. The trauma of losing Seb isn't just a memory for her, it's a lens she uses to see everything. When she sees Alfie gasping, she isn't just seeing a sick toddler. She's reliving the moment her world fell apart years ago. Kevin acts fast and gets them to the hospital, but the damage is already done. Alfie is moved into the intensive care unit, and the question of why is about to turn into a war zone. The truth comes out in the most gut-wrenching way possible. Carl arrives at the hospital with some of Alfie's things. It's such a small, kind act, bringing a teddy or some clothes to comfort a scared kid. But then, the smoking gun appears. He's seen it. He's seen the black mold spreading behind the bed. The doctors confirm it soon after. Alfie's condition is a direct result of that mold in his bedroom. Why did it take a child ending up in the ICU for anyone to care? It's a classic case of waiting for a disaster instead of preventing it. And in this case, the price was almost a human life. Abby is completely staggered. It's a mix of I knew it and how could I let this happen? Inside, she's probably spiraling into a deep pit of guilt. Even though she fought for those repairs, mom guilt is a powerful, irrational thing. She feels like she failed to protect him in his own bed. And then comes the kicker. She finds out her landlord, the guy who ignored her for weeks, is actually Idris Nasir. She's been venting to Leanne about this mystery man while Idris was right there, sending flowers as a distraction while her son's lungs were being ruined. Think about that for a second. Those flowers weren't a nice gesture. They were a shield. This mold isn't just a fungus on a wall. It's a physical sign of Idris's neglect. We can see this as a clash between Idris's new money, ego, and Abby's hard-knock reality. Idris wants to build a big name for himself. He's more worried about his image and his paperwork than the actual air his tenants are breathing. I think the show is making a brilliant, dark point here. The people we trust with our basic needs, like a roof over our heads, can sometimes be the most dangerous people in our lives, I'll say it straight. Idris's excuse of, I didn't know, is just pathetic. Whether he saw the mold with his own eyes or not, he knew there were complaints. In my view, if you're a landlord, being ignorant is a choice. You have a legal and moral job to make sure a house is safe to live in. Ignoring calls and then showing up at the hospital looking horrified feels like an act. He's not horrified because Alfie is sick. He's horrified because he finally got caught. Let's talk about what's going on in Idris's head. He seems to have a massive disconnect between who he thinks he is and what he actually does. He sees himself as a businessman, maybe even a leader in the community. But he's using Brody to do his dirty work. That tells me he's a coward. He wants the profit, but he doesn't want the dirty hands. He's trying to hide from the reality of his own business. On the other side, Abby's reaction is pure survival. Her fury is a shield against the grief that's trying to swallow her whole, and then things go from bad to worse. When Idris actually shows up at the hospital, he doesn't find a sad mother. He finds a warrior. Abi's confrontation is the kind of TV that sticks with you because it's fueled by raw, motherly rage. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife when Kevin Webster joins in. Kevin is usually the steady one, but he completely loses it. He tells Idris that if Alfie doesn't get better, he'll make sure Idris stops breathing too. That threat is a huge escalation. It shows how this stress is stripping away everything civilized. They are in a primal state of protecting their child. Meanwhile, Idris is already looking for an out. He starts pointing fingers at the person who owned the flat before him. This is classic deflection. Even if the old owner was bad, Idris took that responsibility the second he signed the papers. And now we see Brody in the mix, and it's getting ominous. Abi sees Brody forcing a man into the back of a car. This isn't just a housing fight anymore. We're moving into organized crime territory. Idris's dark side is coming out. He's not going to take a lawsuit quietly. He's going to try to handle it his way, which usually means more violence and more secrets. Look at the psychology of the street right now. Sally Metcalf is jumping in as the voice of justice. She's the one pushing Abi to see Adam Barlow. In my opinion, Sally loves these moments. She loves a cause, and taking down a slumlord like Idris fits her image of herself as a neighborhood leader perfectly. But there's a real risk here. They are poking a bear that has teeth they haven't even seen yet. We have to talk about how this mirrors the real world. The show is clearly looking at the housing crisis and Awab's law. This story is a tribute to thousands of families living in damp, moldy homes because their landlords care more about money than people. By tying Abi's personal tragedy to a national crisis, Corey is doing what soaps do best, giving a voice to people who aren't being heard. I think it's really brave to show the gritty, ugly truth that mold can actually kill. It's not just a bit of damp. It's a hazard that hits the most vulnerable people the hardest. Abi having to move back in with Kevin is a symbol of how unstable housing is for so many people. She's lost her home, her safety, and almost her son. The flat itself has become a character in this tragedy. It's a place of poison. When Idris and Brody show up with paint and tools to fix it, it's like putting a tiny bandage on a huge wound. It's too late. The trust is gone. You can't just paint over the memory of your child fighting to breathe. Now, while Abi is fighting for Alfie's life, Tyrone is dealing with a whole different kind of family drama. His biological father, Ross, has turned up because of a DNA test the girls sent off. You might think these stories are separate, but they both ask the same question: what makes a family safe? Tyrone's world is being flipped upside down by a ghost from his past. Cassie, who is already feeling insecure, has already tried to flirt with Ross at a bar without knowing who he was. The psychological mess here is just huge. My take is that Cassie is terrified of losing her spot in Tyrone's life. She's just getting settled, and now another parent figure is moving in. Her impulsive proposal to Steve was a desperate move to create a safe family unit that doesn't really exist. Ross's arrival makes Tyrone want to find his identity. He's been the accidental Dobbs for years, and now he has a chance at a real biological connection. But like the mold in Abi's flat, these family roots can be toxic. Cassie's warning to Ross about Tyrone being stubborn is really just her projecting her own fear. She wants to control the story because she doesn't trust her own history. Looking forward, the fallout from this is going to be explosive. I predict the legal case against Idris is going to get incredibly messy. Adam Barlow is a shark, but Idris is backed into a corner. And a cornered man with a dark side is a dangerous thing. We already know there's a kidnapping plot happening. Idris isn't going to go to jail or pay a settlement without trying to take someone else down with him. I think we're going to see a permanent change in how the Websters and the Nazirs get along. Alia and Leanne are in a spot they can't win. They want to support Idris, but how do you defend a man whose house almost killed a kid? The mental toll on Abi is probably going to turn her into a new version of herself. Protector Abi. She's done being a victim. She's going to use this pain to make sure it never happens again, and she might even become a housing activist on the street. The tension on the cobbles is hitting a boiling point. We have a kid in the ICU, a mother wanting war, a father making threats, and a landlord who is literally kidnapping people. This isn't just a plot, it's a collision. It's going to get worse because the lawsuit will put Idris under a microscope. That's going to ruin his relationship with Leanne and Nick. And if the police, especially Kit, find out about Idris's kidnapping, it's game over. If Alfie doesn't get better, the Websters will have nothing left to lose, and that makes them the most dangerous people on the street. I really think Idris is going to try and blackmail the old landlord into taking the blame, but it's going to blow up in his face when the guy goes to the cops. My boldest prediction? Brody is going to be the one who turns on Idris. Brody is being led down a dark path, but he's not a hardcore criminal. He's going to realize he's being used as the fall guy, and he'll go to his dad, Kit, for help. The final result will be the total destruction of Idris Nazir's name. He'll have to leave Weatherfield in shame, but not before he ruins the Nazir family name too. I also think Abby might have a major breakdown from the stress before she finds her strength again. This whole story with Alfie is a huge reminder that the biggest dangers aren't always the ones we see coming. Sometimes they're hiding right behind the wallpaper of our lives. Abby Webster is staggered, but she's not broken. The real question is, will justice actually happen, or will the paperwork villains win again? I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think Idris genuinely didn't know about the mold, or is he just a master at manipulating people to save his own skin? And should Abby ever forgive him if he proves the old landlord was really at fault? Or does the responsibility stop with him, because he's the one collecting the rent? Drop your theories in the comments, because this is getting really intense. Is Idris beyond redemption? Let's talk about it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the latest Corey spoilers and you want to see more, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps us out and keeps these commentary videos coming your way. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single beat of the drama on the cobbles. We have so much more analysis and original insights coming for you every single week. We're going to be looking at the fallout of Megan's verdict and whether justice was actually served there too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there and keep an eye on your walls. You never know what's hiding back there. Bye for now. The situation with Tyrone and Ross is also a total ticking time bomb. If Ross turns out to be anything like Cassie, Tyrone is going to get hurt. That happy reunion at the bistro is just the calm before the storm. Steve and Tracy being caught in the middle of this family mess is only going to make Cassie's life more miserable. Think about the psychological impact of all this. Idris is living a double life. He can be a loving partner to Leanne while also being a ruthless businessman who lets kids get sick. He doesn't see the problem because he's convinced himself that his survival is what matters most. That's a dangerous place to be because it means he has no limits. He'll do anything to protect his ego. And look at Kevin. He's feeling paternal displacement. He can't fix Alfie's lungs, so he's going after the man who hurt him. It's his way of feeling like he has some power in a situation where he's actually helpless. For Idris, that threat from Kevin is a huge shock. He's used to people he can buy off or charm. He's realizing his money won't protect him from the reality of the street. Sally's involvement is also really interesting. She's driven by a need for social order. She's insecure about her own place, so she grabs onto these righteous causes to feel important. Adam Barlow is different. He's a professional. He's handled people like this before, and he knows taking this case is just good business, even if it makes things awkward with Alia. He's looking at the facts while the Websters are looking at their sick child. The kidnapping is the ultimate sign of how desperate Idris is. He knows the legal route will expose him, so he's going outside the law. In my opinion, this shows who he really is, a man who thinks the rules don't apply to him. He wants a scapegoat, so he can keep looking like a good guy to Leanne. But the second you force someone into a car, you're not the good guy anymore. Idris is showing his true colors, and they are as dark as that mold. We're seeing a masterclass in power shifts here. In the cafe, Idris had the flowers and the charm. In the hospital, he's small and panicked. The hospital strips away his money and leaves him as a man who failed a child. That's the great equalizer. It doesn't care about your bank account, just your oxygen levels. Abby seeking legal help is a massive step for her. It shows she's moving past the shock and into a search for justice. She's not just crying, she's planning. This is her reclaiming her power. She knows she can't physically hurt Idris without going to jail, so she's going to hurt him where it hurts most, his reputation and his wallet. We have to remember the history here. Abi has lost so much. Seb's murder changed her forever. Watching another child suffer is something she just can't take. This isn't just about money for her. It's about making sure the world acknowledges what happened to Alfie. That emotional history is what makes this her biggest battle yet, and don't forget the other drama on the street. Betsy is leaving for London, and it's hitting her and Dylan hard. They're trying to stay connected, but they're realizing how tough a long-distance relationship is going to be. Betsy is even questioning if her dream is worth leaving the people she loves. It's a classic story of ambition versus love. Plus, we have the mystery with Christina. George is suspicious, and Glenda finds something in her bag that leaves her stunned. George follows her and sees her with another man. It turns out Christina is in serious trouble, and George is pushing her to come clean. There are so many secrets being kept on the street right now, and they're all about to come out. The verdict for Megan Walsh is also hanging over everyone. Will justice be served, or is there more to the story? Well, Driscoll is trying to move on, but the memories of what happened are still there. It's a lot for a small community to handle all at once. Coronation Street is doing a great job of showing how these different lives all pull on each other. One person's neglect leads to a child in the hospital, which leads to a legal battle, which brings out someone else's dark secrets. It's all connected. And at the center of it all is a mother just trying to keep her son alive. So, what do you think? Is Idris the ultimate villain of this story? Or is he just another victim of a bad system? And what about Tyrone's new dad? Is Ross going to be a good thing for the family, or just more trouble? I want to hear all your thoughts. This is one of the most socially relevant stories the show has done in a long time, and it's getting people talking. Make sure you keep following us for all the latest updates. We'll be here to break down every twist and turn on the cobbles. Thanks for being part of our community, and we'll see you very soon with more Corey news. Until then, take care and stay tuned. Was this really just a simple mistake, or was it something much deeper and way more sinister? I want you to think about that for a second. Put yourself in the shoes of a parent for just one moment. Imagine the cold, sterile air of a hospital waiting room. You're listening to the rhythmic, haunting beep of a heart monitor, and then it hits you. You realize that the one place where your child should have been the safest, his own bedroom, was actually a death trap. Today, we aren't just summarizing the news from the cobbles. We are going to perform a deep dive into the soul-crushing health crisis of young Alfie Webster and the absolute storm of fury it's about to unleash on Coronation Street. Is Abi Webster's discovery about the mold in her flat just the tip of the iceberg, or is there a bigger conspiracy hiding behind those damp walls? Let's find out. The situation on the street has shifted from a simmering frustration to a full-blown emergency faster than anyone expected. Abi Webster is a woman whose life has been a series of hard knocks. She's had to fight for every bit of happiness she's found. Now, she finds herself back in a hospital waiting room, and in my opinion, there is no place on earth more triggering for her than a hospital ward. We have to remember that this is where she lost her son, Seb. This is where her past failures as a mother were laid bare for the whole world to see years ago. So, when she sees Alfie struggling, history isn't just repeating itself, it's threatening to tear her world apart all over again. The enemy this time isn't a gang of thugs in a dark alley. It's a microscopic killer living right inside her walls. So, why did this happen? How did Alfie end up in the intensive care unit fighting for every breath? It's very easy to look at a diagnosis of black mold and just call it a tragic accident, but I think that's a surface-level take. The real reason this happened is a massive, systemic failure of communication and empathy. Abi has been screaming into the void for weeks. She's been leaving message after message for her landlord about the damp in her flat, but she didn't even know the man's name.
Think about that.
You're living in a place that's literally rotting, and the person responsible won't even give you the time of day. In my view, Idris Nazir chose to ignore those calls because, in his world of high-stakes business, a tenant's complaint is just background noise. He was too busy playing the part of the successful newcomer to actually do the work of a